If you're going to ask me to talk about the top 3 things that threaten America, but if you weaponize the Department of Justice, the FBI, and perhaps even the CIA to some degree, you are moving very closely to being a dictatorial state. The 2 people who take debt the least seriously are business people and politicians. And we've got one running for president and the other running for president. Business people tend to think we'll grow our way out of this. And so they don't sweat it too much. And politicians, of course, just say, borrow, we'll never have to pay it back, basically is what they're saying. But it's becoming critical. And by the way, I hear a lot traveling in the capitals of the world. I hear a lot of criticism about America and an unwillingness to do long-term deals with America.
Yeah.
I'm talking about very powerful nations. So we've got to get that straight.
Yeah, the debt is, it's to me probably our biggest threat, because if interest rates are high, debt right now is what, $1 trillion a year just in debt.
Yeah,
and
but we had it tamed as recently as the Clinton administration.
Yes,
so this
balanced budget.
We can do this.
Yeah,
we can do this. Let's go.
Absolutely. Yeah,
there's just not the will.
Yeah, there's got to be the will.
Right.
I mean, and people have to understand it on both sides, because what you've seen is Republicans get in office, they raise the debt. Democrats get in office, they raise the debt. Republicans, it's back and forth. And it's
2 parties doing the same thing under different names. Exactly. And that has been our heritage for a lot of years.
So, with this election coming up, what's your view on it? What do you think is going to happen?
I think Trump's going to win. I will probably hold my nose and vote for him, to be frank with you. I dislike a lot about him. I am a Christian, and so obviously I think I'd like for somebody to behave presidentially. But he'll bring good people into the government, and I maybe a little bit more than some folks, because I'm there in D.C. I see how an administration is built, and you got good people running programs, and good can happen even if the head guy is a nitwit. I don't think Trump's a nitwit, but some people have been. So I may just make myself vote for Trump, by the way, for the first time, because I too have, like you, put off by him. But I certainly never voted for Hillary Clinton, and I can't vote for Biden. So I wish there were better candidates.
What do you think about the weaponization of the DOJ right now, with him and kind of and with the states as well? I
think that's unbelievably dangerous. Now that's something, if you're going to ask me to talk about the top 3 things that threaten America, people aren't really listening. The average guy sitting on his, drinking his coffee in the morning, reading his paper or on his online news, he's not aware of what a threat that is. But if you weaponize the Department of Justice, the FBI, and perhaps even the CIA to some degree, you are moving very closely to being a dictatorial state.
Yeah.
I mean, you're near Nazis, you're near the communist parties of major nations. I mean, you are the dark days of the Russian Empire and then Soviet Union. That is very serious, and we need to be going after that. And by the way, I don't like it when politicians get put in jail for things that are fairly light. But anybody who cooperated with that or called for that or said, hey, why don't you guys act in my behalf in this legal prosecution? Those people need to go to jail.
I agree.
No question.
I agree. And people talk about the retribution. I mean, if Trump is in office, I'm trying to put myself in his shoes. And if I were going through what he was going through, not just from a revenge standpoint, but he's being, it's wrong. I would go after everybody. I would subpoena all of their phone records. I would get all of the info from New York to Georgia to Florida to all of them, and go after everyone.
And this is what ticks me off about Trump. He's got the courage to go after them for righteous reasons. But what does he get up and talk about? I'm going to go after those who wronged me. You see what I mean? So you're like, come on, you're so close to the truth. You're so close to what needs to happen. And then you make it about some petty revenge thing, some journalist who wronged you. Grow up. So I'm expressing my irritation, but he's got the courage to do the right thing and to withstand the storm. Sometimes he's just so petty, like an offended 16-year-old.
But you are right. Like, I've grown to like him a lot more. I really have. And, I try to put myself in his shoes and, understand he's raised different, has a different idea about, how things are. And, he does have a lot of courage, because the ones that he's standing up against, if I take a step back, I'm like, well, that's who I consider evil.
Right.
And you have these evil, organizations. And for whatever reason, let's say that Trump God's picking him. He's the only one standing up at that level to defend right now. And so I do respect him, going especially with the more people attacking him. The Russia thing turned out to be bogus. I mean, it's like, it's obvious they're trying to get him out.
no question. And they're doing it with the legal procedures.
Right.
So,
Exactly.
I mean, I certainly understand the man coming in office with a vengeance.
Sure.
At the same time, we've got to have a reset. Otherwise, we're going to turn into a third world country where we're just imprisoning our enemies and lining them up against walls and shooting them, and that's where we're going to be heading.